"Hey, what's this?" And he did a spin and scared the crap out of me. Uh, but it didn't drive me away. And I said, you know what? From this point on, I'm gonna figure out what he did, and I'm gonna learn how to fly. So imagine, I talked about the wind. So imagine riding your bicycle, jumping a ramp, and landing sideways. That's a problem because once the helmet comes on and it snaps tight, I begin feeding 100% pure oxygen from that point on. From that point on, my head and neck is sealed, and I'm breathing 100% pure oxygen. And that's basically to purge a lot of the nitrogen that's going through your
Mm.
bloodstream because you can get into what's called the bends.
So you on
Essentially,
the edge of hypothermia. Well, about to be.
essentially, I'm starting to freeze to death, and it's to the point where I'm punching my legs, I'm punching my arms, I'm freezing. It's really really cold. And at 15,000 foot worth of altitude, I have no recollection of to this very day. And instantly, I'm talking instantly, I stopped shivering altogether. So I've been shivering the entire time, but now stop.
That's
Like absolutely no more shivering. Which later I find out that
means that
that's
you
not
have.
good.
Yeah, if you stop shivering, that means that you like you are hypothermic. Or I think that's what
Stop
it.
shivering.
Yeah, like you no longer shiver. That's bad.
That's bad, right?
Right. You're like, do I take my chances trying to land this thing, or do I eject into a freezing lake while I'm already hypothermic
Right.
already?
And so once that happens, the doc told me, he's like, yeah, dude, you probably had like maybe 15, 20 minutes and
You were
you were
done. You were gonna
freezing
shut
to pass
down.
out.
What's going on, everybody? It's Kitty T, and I got something for y'all today. I got my friend, my man, AFSOC flying, 737 hand flying, U-2 Dragon Lady slaying from Louisiana. The boy Kris Duckett. Let's go. What's going on, Kris? How you doing today, man?
JT, what's happening, man? Living the dream, trying to.
Man.
Hand flying to 7-3, how we do. What's going
Exactly.
on, man?
Man, nothing much, man. I'm glad you was able to take time out of your day to come really share your story with everybody. Hopefully, people can learn from you, be entertained by some of these stories you have, and be inspired to go do amazing things like yourself. So, you have flown planes that fly from low to the ground to the highest heights. Give me a real quick overview of like your experience flying.
Okay. Real quick overview of my experience flying. Well, I started off just like everybody else flying Cessnas, once 152s, did all my training at Louisiana Tech. I was an aviation major. So that was my major. Graduated in 2001, went straight to the Air Force from there. So while in college, 152, 172, 172 RGs, whatnot. I finished with commercial instrument. Didn't get my CFI in college because my instrument or I was in ROTC, so I didn't have to get CFI, and I didn't have to get multi. Well, we were supposed to get multi, but my instrument instructor, they geared up the airplane and we couldn't do it. So we were waiting for our multi. But then I was going to the Air Force, so it was no biggie. Went to the Air Force. Was a navigator for a little bit on C-130s. Loved it so much. Decided
Mhm.
to, which is what I ultimately wanted to do, apply for pilot training. Apply for pilot training. Got picked up. Went and flew C-130s. So flew C-130s for 3 years. And then from there, I jumped back into AFSOC, which is Air Force Special Operations, where I flew what's called an M28 Skytruck. It's a little light twin turboprop. That's the low part that you talked about.
Mhm.
I flew PC-12s. I flew Cessna 208s, teaching foreign students in those two airplanes. And from there, I applied to fly the U-2 Dragon Lady, where I did the interview and was hired to fly the U-2. So I flew U-2s and T-38s while doing that. Retired from there, and then I'm flying what I am now, which is the 737 for United Airlines, where I'm a captain right now.
That's what's up,
That,
man.
that's the brief
There it is.
synopsis.
Right,
Oh, and
exactly.
an airplane owner as well. I fly a Piper Comanche 250,
Uh-huh.
which I always.
And in your basement, you're building an airplane too.
And
Don't
I am
forget about
building an
that.
RV8, so airplanes all over the place. That's what I do. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
So, a very important question. You've
Mhm,
flown from low, 50
mhm,
feet, all the way up to an undisclosed altitude uh, that you've flown to.
fair.
Question that people want to know.
Mhm.
Is the earth round?
The earth is in fact round. If you are a flat earther, I'm sorry to tell you that you are incorrect. It is in fact round. I have seen it with my own eyes. Yes, the earth is round.
There it is, right?
Without
$1 million question, right? It's as funny as it is. It's a question that people ask you, like, "What are you talking about?" Of course, the Earth
yeah,
is round.
yeah, it happens.
You
It
know,
happens. People being people, people doing people things.
right?
Yeah.
So, we've seen all the things that you've done from the beginning to the end. Well, almost from the beginning. We know where you got started, like with your flight training at Louisiana Tech. But how did you actually get started in flying? Like, what drew you in?
What drew me in? Well, super long story short, I saw an F-16 fighter jet on the poster, but I would imagine you want to know a little bit more than that.
Yeah.
So, it's a funny story. My grandfather was a truck driver in California, and I go with my grandfather to work every now and then. Not long haul, but he moved like construction equipment, dirt, rocks, and things like that. Whenever they were building buildings or digging holes, and going to work with my grandfather, he drove trucks. We got dirty, wore boots and jeans, and hung out with the boys and everything. That was a blast. I figured I was going to be a truck driver. That
All
was in
right.
California.
Yeah.
However, I'm from New Orleans, Louisiana. So when I went back home, going from junior high to high school, the thing to do was to play in the band, play football, figure out what you're going to do with the rest of your life. So I was choosing classes in an orientation. I was going again from junior high to high school, and I was choosing classes. And I said, you know what? I will learn to play trombone. I'll play in the band, marching parades, Mardi Gras, do what we do, and then I'll figure out what I'm going to do with the rest of my life. Maybe go cook or something like that. And I'm walking across the gym floor straight to the band table. I can see Mr. Brimmer sitting right there, who was the band teacher at the time. Rest in peace, Mr. Brimmer. Anyways, I looked left. I saw an F-16 on a poster, an F-16 fighter jet on the poster. I turned left, joined ROTC, and I never looked back. I said I was gonna fly an airplane. I don't know why that airplane called me. It just called me, and I turned left. I joined ROTC, not knowing anything about airplanes, and that's what led me down that path. So,
Nice.
um, throughout my first year in ROTC, we had this really quirky instructor in ROTC. The officer, we had one officer and one enlisted guy. The officer was a pilot. He flew KC-135s. Weirdest dude ever. Quirky sense of humor, hilarious because of the quirky sense of humor. He started talking about his pilot stories. I got interested. Eventually, I learned that I could go down to the airport and get a orientation flight. It wasn't called a discovery flight then, it was an orientation flight. Went out and did my orientation flight. The young kid who was building time took me out and we did some turns and some stalls. And he said, "Hey, watch this." And he did a spin and scared the crap out of me. Uh, but it didn't drive me away. And I said, you know what? From this point on, I'm going to figure out what he did and I'm going to learn how to fly. And that's what I did.
Man, that's
Took me through high school and went to Louisiana Tech, and that's what I majored in. Applied to one college, one major, stuck through it the whole time.
man, it's crazy.
So
A
that's
poster, right? A poster mean you made a left turn instead of a right turn,
mm,
and that's forever was your future at that point, man. It's
it was.
it's crazy how something I say so small, such as a poster or someone being there, can be and have such an impact on just trying to help you figure things out. Because I know, like, when I talk to some of these high school kids, they have. I mean, I remember like know what you think you want to do, but you really have no idea, and you're just
Right.
making left and right turns, and you can make the correct turn that puts you in a path that'll set you up for something that you're like, this is it. Never look back. Never look
Never looked
back,
back.
man.
I will say, and I'd be remiss if I didn't mention my mentor, Senior Master Sergeant Edward Fowler. Rest in peace, Sarge. He steered my group of five straight. He was one of those old school Air Force first sergeants way back in the day. And I'm
Hmm.
talking about the 70s, 80s first sergeant, not the modern day first sergeants that are nice and kindler and gentler. No, no, no. He was that mean old cuss that was fair. And he taught us fairness. He taught us responsibility. He taught us discipline. And he stayed on us. And had it not been for Sergeant Fowler, I don't know if I would have gone to where I am. So
Man,
So I
that's
something
big too
else.
because we always skip over the fact of how important character discipline and those other like values and stuff are when it comes to being a professional aviator and doing
Mhm.
these really amazing things. It's just gotta have flying skills. Like, nah, you gotta have some of that character with it too. You gotta have
Mhm.
discipline,
Mhm.
courage, all those
Mhm.
things that they teach you in JROTC. Those values are gonna help you win when it comes to it,
Absolutely.
right? So, you got a Comanche 250,
I have a Comanche 250.
General Aviation.
Brand new.
So tell me a little bit like why you like general aviation or like the things that like some things that you've experienced flying general aviation and why you like it.
Well, general aviation. Why do I love general aviation? Well, the freedom. First of all, well, no, let me back up. It allows me to continue flying. It feeds my flying habit. That's my guilty pleasure is flying. I try to fly every chance I get, whether it's with work or whether it's with general aviation. But general aviation, the freedom to fly, just to be able to head out to the airport. Obviously, do your planning first.
Mhm, mhm.
Head out to the airport. Just either go around, tool around in the pattern, take it for a trip, just to the freedom to just explore and be up there and manage that airplane. I love it. Love
Yeah,
it.
I think a lot of people don't realize like there's a lot of pilots who become professional pilots, whether in the military or commercial airline pilots who don't fly much general aviation or haven't done any
Yeah,
general aviation flying,
yeah.
outside of their training. And there are those of us who still do. And for those that may not know, like general aviation is non-professional aviation in generally smaller aircraft for personal use. And
Mhm.
me and Chris have flown a lot together.
Oh
General
yeah.
aviation. He actually helped me build up my time when I was working on my commercial pilot certificate. So
Mhm.
uh, I still
Took you
think
across
that's
the country.
that's one of my favorite trips that I've been on in general aviation. We flew all the way from Florida. Where we Crestview? I forgot we flew out of from Crestview.
Well, I took off from
Oh yeah,
Crestview to come and pick you up in Pensacola.
that's right.
So
You
10
picked
minutes and then we got going. So
Then we
you
flew
know,
all the way across the country to California.
that's right.
Um, what was the airport we landed? What was the airport out in Cali that we landed at?
Lincoln.
At Lincoln, yep. So we flew all the way across, and I think I gained so much from that trip as as an early pilot, because we encountered so much on that trip. I mean, it was a lot of fun. We flew about 2 legs a day. We stopped in
Mhm.
random place in Texas, got to
Mhm.
Albuquerque, and then
Albuquerque.
there was
I've been
freezing
to
levels, so we got stuck in.
Albuquerque. Yep.
So
Yep.
that was that was one of those times where building time was real cool. We got to hang out with your friend, fly across the country, things that
Mhm.
those stories that you can't really have without that experience in general aviation, man. So
It was a heck of a road trip
yeah, yeah,
or
that's a
air
road
trip,
trip.
however you want to look at it.
Yeah,
Heck of a
man.
trip.
Yeah, so that's general aviation, and then your military career,
Mhm.
C-130 is a sky truck, and the U-2 Dragon Lady.
You too, Dragon Lady.
Now, I remember when you were like, "Hey, I got an interview to go fly to U-2." Tell me about what the process is for interviewing to go fly to U-2, and kind of tell everybody like what makes the U-2 so difficult to fly.
Well, I would say that it's not necessarily difficult to fly. It is the toughest airplane in the world to land. And the reason that it's the toughest airplane in the world to land, in my opinion, first of all, she's very heavy. It's all cable and pulley. There's no hydraulic assist or anything like that. And it's 105 foot of wingspan. So it's very, very, very heavy. Number two, you actually have to stall the airplane to land it. And for those who are not familiar with the stall, it's literally running an airplane out of energy and it literally just drops. So once you're committed, you're committed. And then it's very susceptible to winds because of the large wingspan and the large tail. So we can't handle a lot of wind. So it makes it a prize fight when you're actually landing that
Mm.
airplane. Our missions are 8 to 11 hours. So imagine going out, you come back 11 hours later. Your gas tanks are saying, "Hey, let's get this thing on the ground." You're tired. It could be nighttime, poor weather, very windy, and you are in a prize fight. So it's very very tough to actually land it. And throughout the years of the U-2, we've had some pretty good mishaps just landing the airplane. And even in the interview process, there are those that sometimes land and bend a wing or depart the prepared surface, or and generally speaking, those don't make it.
Mm.
But it happens, and it's one of those things that makes flying that airplane one of the toughest, or landing that airplane one of the toughest in the world.
So I've landed a lot of airplanes in my life, and you have
Hmm.
too. But I think you missed a big key point of landing that plane, and I might have just
Hmm.
missed it. But is it three wheels you land on, or is it just two?
So technically, technically, it's three tires. So two tires make up the main wheel, and then you have a tail wheel. So you're basically landing a bicycle. That's another thing that makes it one of the toughest things. So it's not two wheels and one wheel. No, it's two wheels and one wheel, and you're landing a bicycle. So imagine, I talked about the wind. So imagine riding your bicycle, jumping a ramp, and landing sideways. That's a problem.
Yeah.
So you have to land the U-2 straight like you would land a bicycle if you jumped a ramp. So yeah.
Do you know
Yeah.
what the attrition rate is for the interview, or like how many people get selected out of a said number?
When I got hired, and I retired in 2021, so it's been several years. But when I got hired, just prior to me being hired, it was about 67% made it.
And
And it's going up, needs of the Air Force and needs for pilots. So I won't say the tolerances weakened. You just had more candidates coming through, and the community was able to pick from a larger pool of pilots.
right,
And what I will say is, from that larger pool of pilots, we picked from certain communities where um, some of the swimmers were stronger than other communities. So that's why the rates actually went up a good bit.
so what made you like? Why did you want to go fly to U2? Why even put your app in to go fly to U2? What made that? Hey, I want to go fly.
Can I be 100% honest?
Yep.
So it was either go to possibly teach in Laughlin, which is Del Rio, Texas,
Hmm.
Columbus, which is in Mississippi, or Enid, Oklahoma. What's out there? What's the base? I can't remember the base,
Yeah.
but it was either go teach there or go drive race cars, put on a spacesuit, and fly jets.
Man, well, that seems like an easy choice to me.
For me, it was an easy choice, but I was looking for something else to do in my flying career, and I ran across the U-2. I was an executive officer at the time. In other words, I was an assistant to a commander at the time, and I was just surfing on the internet one day, and I happened to pass Beale Air Force Base. U-2, man, we still flying that thing? Huh?
Hmm.
Wait a minute, I know a guy that's at Beale. Let me call up, Nova, and talk with Nova. And like, oh, that's cool. Let me, yeah, got more interested and decided to put in my application. And thankfully, I possess the luck and skills to get me
There it
into the
is.
YouTube.
Man, so flying to U2, racing cars, flying to U2, and get to fly the T-38. Like it's
Mhm.
like you got to do all these different things all in one assignment. Um,
Yes.
the spacesuit.
Hmm.
The spacesuit. So I got the cool chance to go out there when you were gonna fly one time, and I remember there was so much that it took to get the spacesuit. How many people does it take, and what's the process of like actually getting that whole uniform on? It's not just zipping up a suit and jumping out and
Yeah.
going to the
No,
plane.
not at all. Not at all. So you feel almost like an astronaut. Um, so we have a group called PSD, or the Physiological Support Division. Those are the guys and gals that take care of the suits. They take care of us. They get us dressed, and desuited. They take care of all of our life preserving things that we need to go up and fly. Not to be confused with life support or aircrew flight equipment. It's just kind of a
Mm,
different branch of that deals specifically with the physiology of high altitude reconnaissance flying. So it normally takes a team of about three to four. to get you dressed. Now it can be three. When we deployed, it usually be three. There'd be two technicians that are assisting me dressing, and then
Mhm.
there'd be a supervisor that supervised them and did the final checks once I am dressed. The process: you walk out, you're in your basically your long johns. You walk out, and the suits are already laid out. They take care of all the suits. They test the suits multiple times before you even get into it, but the suit is already laid out. And the two technicians assist me in getting into the suit because the suit is fairly bulky. And then
Mhm.
once I put the gloves on, I don't really have the dexterity for things like zippers and buttons and things like that. So I will basically dive into the suit and stand up, and it kind of falls down around you. They zip you up in the suit. I get on my harness, get into my boots, and then I get into a seat. And what they'll do is in that seat, as they're connecting everything else, they'll give me my gloves, or actually they'll give me my helmet first, because once the helmet comes on and it snaps tight, I begin feeding 100% pure oxygen from that point on. From that point on, my head and neck is sealed, and I'm breathing 100% pure oxygen. And that's basically to purge a lot of the nitrogen that's going through your
Mm.
bloodstream, because you can get into what's called the bends, not unlike or decompression sickness, but not unlike a diver that goes down. If you come up too fast, you can get bubbles in the bloodstream. Well, it kind of works the same way going up and then coming down as well. So those bubbles, as you come down, the pressure increases, could really expand in the bloodstream and get into the joints, get into the heart, get into the brain, and that could be very, very dangerous. So decompression sickness is something that the oxygen helps to prevent decompression sickness. Once the helmet is on, the gloves are on, they'll lay me back and they'll basically secure everything to include my boots. I didn't even have to tie my own shoes. That's the crazy thing about me. I didn't do any of that. So they secure boots. Once the suit is fully geared up and secured, the supervisor will come in and do the final checks, give me that last fist bump, and then I'm just there waiting to head on out to the airplane. And then that starts a whole nother
Whole nother
process.
process. So how long does that process take to get you from when you show up to getting fully dressed and in your spacesuit?
About it can take about 20 minutes
Okay.
to show up to dress, and
Okay.
then from there you'll step out. So normally from start to finish, that is showing up, getting in the van, showing up to the airplane, it's about a 30-minute period. You
Okay.
can
Okay.
shorten it, but you generally don't. It
Yeah.
only
Yeah.
takes,
Yeah.
and then once you get deployed, the PSD team gets a lot faster.
Yeah. Because they're like knocking it
Yeah.
out. They're just doing it. That's cool.
So,
So that's man, yeah. So someone getting you dressed each day, but I mean that's a lot of equipment to wear, and then you're in that for 12 to XX number of hours.
my
Um,
longest was a 12.2.
12.2. So,
Mm.
so who do you talk to when you're up there flying for 12 hours?
Well, we have ways that we can listen to a little bit of music.
Okay.
You can listen to a podcast, you read a book, talk to yourself, answer yourself. It happens. There are some missions where I am talking to someone via satellite communications, but then there are other missions where you're off alone and semi-afraid, not unafraid,
Yeah.
but semi-afraid sometimes, because you can be a long way from home,
Yeah.
and you're alone
Gotcha.
sometimes.
Man. So, flying up that long, we talked about kind of the dangers of why you wear the whole spacesuit to
Mhm.
protect you from the environment. Because up at 70,000 plus feet, we weren't made to just be up there.
Oh,
Uh,
we know we were not.
have you had any abnormal situations while flying the U-2? And if so, tell me what happened and like, how
Well,
you made it because you're here.
so we pilots, you get out to the hangar and we do what's called hangar flying, and the story always starts off the same way. There I was.
Where were you?
Right. I was gonna go fly a mission, and in the area that we were flying missions, it was particularly cold. Uh, I mean, it was just cold on the ground that day. I had the jet that I was flying was down for a couple months. It had a flap issue, it had a mechanical issue, and so they fixed the jet, and so now I get to pick the jet, or I get to fly the jet. And a lot with airplanes, airplanes, they have their own lives, and like I know, if they sit too long, they get tired, right?
Hmm.
You want to keep them flying, but this one's been sitting for almost 2.5, 3 months. And I pull the straw and I get this jet. So I take off. Prior to taking off, you could see everyone was just freezing on the ground. So, I did what I could to kind of hurry up that process to get on out of there so I can get everybody inside.
Right.
Take off, go right into the weather, start climbing up. I was under instrument conditions, so I was doing a lot of hand flying. And one of the unique things about the U-2 and the suit itself, the more moving you do in the suit, the warmer it gets. So we're constantly being fed air, and typically you'll keep the cockpit a little bit cooler than normal because you'll just start getting real, real hot in the suit if you do a lot of moving. So we typically don't want to do a lot of moving, but I took off and I was doing a lot of maneuvering to get up to altitude. I broke out of the weather, and I'm going somewhere with it. But I broke out of the weather and I start powering up all of my systems, and one or two of the systems wasn't powering up properly. What that meant is now I'm having to do a lot of things to troubleshoot,
Uh,
reaching back for my checklist, reaching back for circuit breakers, and doing all this jazz. And as I'm doing all of this, I'm doing a lot of moving. Get pressing on mission. I get up to about 50,000 feet, and I'm still climbing, and I'm heading out, and we get to a point where it's either go no go for the mission, and I was approaching that, or I was about maybe 10 minutes from approaching that point, and my systems still weren't powering up properly. One system I could go without, the other system I couldn't, and I'm troubleshooting this. All the meantime, I'm sitting there, and as I'm running a couple of tests, you run a couple of tests, and the computer is doing its thing, and you're just kind of sitting there, looking out the window, watching the world go by slowly. And for me, I keep my cockpit anywhere from 38 to 43 degrees. That's where I used to keep mine because, it just felt comfortable. At about 50 degrees, you start sweating.
mhm.
I'm sitting there, and normally what tells me I'm cold in the airplane is my feet get cold first. I'm just sitting there kind of chilling, watching this countdown happen. I'm like, man, my legs are really, really cold. Not my feet. My legs are really, really cold.
Uh,
I'm like, what is going on? And I look down, and it's now negative, or excuse me, it's 10 degrees in the airplane. What is going on? So I crank up the heat. Hey, let's get this thing going. Crank up the heat. Run a couple more tests. It's not working. As I'm running these tests, I'm looking down and my temperature is just dropping lower and lower. Eventually, I see 0 degrees. All
uh-oh.
right, this is a problem. And now my feet are hurting. My legs are real cold. And that cold is just starting to work its way up my body. Like it's getting really, really cold in here. Um,
Sheesh.
I get to the point where I'm almost at my go no go point, and by this point, it's like -5 degrees. And of course, at this point, I've tried everything. I've tried to go manual on the heat. It's an old airplane. Maybe the valves got stuck. Just do something. Shake the airplane. So you
Right.
get some heat going. Yeah, heat is not happening. So I'm basically starting to freeze. I'm going through about 55,000 feet, and I'm just about at the go no go point, and my one of my systems that I needed to go was not working. So I'm like, okay, I've got to turn around and go back. I radio back in. It's like, hey, this system is not working. I'm gonna be coming home. However, I have a new problem now. I can't heat the cockpit, and it's -5 degrees, and it's getting colder. So
So you on
essentially,
the edge of hypothermia, well, about to be.
essentially I'm starting to freeze to death, and it's to the point where I'm punching my legs, I'm punching my arms, I'm freezing. It's really, really cold.
Oh
I
man.
make the turnaround, and I start heading back. By the time I make the turnaround, it's now -10 degrees.
So real quick, before we you're at 50,000 feet.
Or 55,000.
How long does it normally take to get from 55,000 feet to land?
um that depends.
Okay. All right,
And,
keep going. I was like, man,
but
it
but
don't.
but what I will say is I'm about an hour away because of the routing I had to take. I'm
Oh
about an
my
hour away,
God. So you're
right?
still an
So
hour away, even if you get down
yes,
fast enough. All
yes.
right, keep going. My
Uh,
bad.
Yeah, I'm about an hour away because of the routing I have to take to come back home.
Yeah.
And it's really, really cold up there, and it's not a good time. It's -10 degrees, and I'm pressing back. I say, you know what? It's only been an hour. Um, at this point, I can barely feel my feet. I can barely move my legs. Like I'm freaking freezing, and I'm almost a passenger. I'm just kind of along, and I'll move a knob for the autopilot, right? But at this point, it's like, okay, it's only been an hour. I can make it. I can make it. I can make it. I press back, about 3 minutes go by, and I'm like, yeah, no, no, I'm declaring an emergency. I need to get down immediately. I'm having an environmental issue.
Mm-hmm.
Unfortunately, the area that I was flying over was some of the densest airspace at this time of day. I mean, it's like playing the old Atari game Frogger, and I'm the
Oh
frog trying
man.
to cross the highway, right? So it's just airplanes all over the place if I descend it down. So they gave me a descent down to 45 initially, and I can hear them on the radio trying to clear traffic so I can get down lower. By the time I got down to 45, it's now negative 16 degrees, and at this
Good
point,
Lord.
I'm a passenger. Like
Negative
I'm literally
16 degrees?
yes, negative 16. So I press back, and they they eventually clear me direct home to home station. So it cuts some of my time. I get cleared to descend down to 15,000. And as I'm descending, scary part, I go into the clouds right around 30,000 feet. And to this very day, the next thing I remember is popping out around 15,000. I remember nothing going through those clouds.
Oh my goodness.
Nothing at 15,000 foot worth of altitude, I have no recollection of to this very day. So,
That
so that kind of sucked.
that's
Yeah.
scary
Yeah.
because we know,
Yeah.
like, you're like, who knows what happened? Did you pass out and then wake back up because it warmed up a little bit? Like nobody knows. Like,
So
man,
as I descended, it did start to warm up a little bit, but I'm cold soaked at this point. Like
yeah,
I'm just freezing, Um, I get down and they clear me again direct to home station. I can see the airfield. They clear me down to 2,000 feet. I descend down to 2,000 feet. And as I get down to 2,000 feet, there's a little bit of fog that's starting to build up because U-2 sometimes is notorious for fog inside the cockpit. So fog is starting to build up. And so I do the emergency procedure to clear the fog, which causes a lot of wind to rush through the airplane. And instantly, I'm talking instantly, I stopped shivering altogether. So I've been shivering the entire time, but now stop.
that's
Like absolutely no more shivering. Which later I find out that
means that
that's
you have,
not good.
yeah, if you stop shivering, that means that you like have are at the you are hypothermic. Or I think
I
that's what it,
stopped shivering.
yeah, like you no longer shiver. That's bad.
That's bad, right? And so thankfully, I recover over the field. And as I'm one of the first persons you talk to when you're approaching the field is your mobile officer or the guy that's in the chase car. And so I reach out to my mobile. I was like, "Hey, dude, um, I'm not sure I can stop the airplane right now. I can barely move my legs, And so we kind of talk, and he's like, "Hey, so do you want to start talking about that ejection decision?" It's like,
Mm, mm,
I don't know
that's
about that because our ejection area, first of all, is over a lake.
oh, you're already
I'm already
hypothermic.
freezing. Yeah, I'm already freezing. And plus, I don't know if I want to be punching out of an airplane, right?
Right. You're
So
like, do I take my chances trying to land this
yeah,
thing, or do I eject into a freezing lake while I'm already hypothermic
right,
already?
right. So I'm like, yeah, let me try and put it down on the ground. I'm fine. I'm a pilot. I'm a fight to the end, right? So uh thankfully I landed it uneventfully. The airfield kind of set on an incline, kind of. So I didn't have to use much braking to get the airplane stopped. Um my mobile is like, "Hey, dude, just shut down right there. We'll get you out of the airplane. Fire trucks and everything are all around." I'm like, "Dude, just get everybody out of the way. I'm on the ground. Let me just taxi it in the park, and we'll just go from there." So I taxi in. I shut down. The mobile comes running up the ladder, handing my equipment and everything. And it physically takes me probably about 2.5, 3 minutes to climb out of the cockpit because I'm so cold. Hop out of the cockpit, and if you look at the suit itself, some of the things we wear what's called spurs on our feet, and it's a little contraption that has a little metal connection in it, and what
Yeah.
it does is you hook it to the straps on the ejection seat, so it pulls your legs back.
Yeah.
Well, those are metal. There's ice on my spurs. There's ice on the yoke pole in the airplane. There's ice on the sidewall in the airplane. Canopy is kind of frosted up. The doc looks at me, comes running up the stairs like, "You're coming with me now. Get in the shower. Don't get
Oh
out of
my.
the shower till you start feeling normal." Right. So he throws me in the shower, and I stay there. When I go debrief with him, uh, as I'm telling him the story, So with hypothermia, one of the first few things that starts to happen, obviously you start shivering, you get cold. Eventually, what happens is your body tries to preserve the vital organs, and it'll start shutting down functions of your body so that it can protect everything else. One of the first things that leaves you is short-term memory. And
Could,
that happened right about 30 to 15,000 feet.
ooh,
And then as the body goes through the process of trying to protect other things, one of the things that will eventually happen is it'll say, "Hey, this shivering that I'm doing to try and generate heat, it's not working. Stop." And so once that happens, the doc told me, he's like, "Yeah, dude, you probably had like maybe 15, 20 minutes and
you were
you were
done. You were gonna
basically
shut
passed
down.
out." Yeah. So yeah, that was fun. So I almost
Wow,
froze to death. And he did
man.
it. So that was
So that is insane. It's glad you made it. There's a lot of good decision making, some luck in there too. It's definitely
mhm.
we'll take some luck, some blessings, some divine intervention, all the things you want to call it. Um, what are quickly like three takeaways that from that scenario that you would give to pilots of any any level? Like, what are three things you could pass to some people from that?
One of the first few things they punch you in the face with at pilot training. Maintain aircraft control, analyze the situation, take proper action, land as soon as conditions permit.
There it is.
However, I would be remiss if I didn't mention the support that I had. So I was still within radio range, so I could reach back to home station. I had my mobile officer on the radio. I had all the support of the other pilots on the radio. I had maintenance contractors on the radio. Air traffic control was watching out for me the best they could. So there was a lot of support. But fly the airplane first, maintain aircraft control. Did I think about diverting? Yeah. But where I was, and also you have to consider with the U-2 is not like a normal airplane. You can't just divert it anywhere.
Yeah.
So my options were very limited. Also, the role of the U-2 is to gather information. So some of the things on the airplane, I can't just take anywhere either.
Yeah.
So the options are limited. So could I have diverted? There may have been one place that I could have diverted. So that wasn't necessarily, an option that I had. Um, but yeah, maintain aircraft control, try to figure out what happened. Eventually we determined that the bleed air system or that we what you do is you tap heat off of the engine to run some of the other systems,
Right. Right.
specifically the heater. But the bleed air system had failed, and it was you tap that air to feed your environmental system, and from your environmental system, you can get heat or cold. And what we also determined was it was feeding the environmental system, but the environmental system was stuck on the cold side.
Mm.
And because it was already so cold, when I got into the airplane and when I took off, I was doing a lot of moving.
You
I didn't realize
that it was
it
a
was
problem.
blowing cold the
Yeah.
entire time. And so that's why my legs, not just my feet, but that's why my legs got got so cold. So first,
Man.
because all that cold air was just down there and I was just sitting and soaking in it. So
Man.
yeah,
Wow. Man, crazy,
fly the air.
crazy, crazy. Yeah, fly the airplane. That's it. That's the number one thing. Keep flying the airplane. And that's exactly what you did. And then, yeah, that's it. Ran through it. So now transitioning from that, from flying the U-2 and the fun stuff there, you retire from the U-2, and then you are now an airline pilot, an airline captain on the 737.
That's correct.
So, had you thought about being an airline pilot post military, or what? Like, how did that come about? Because I don't remember if you were like, I do want to go to airlines. Don't know who the airlines. Like, what was next? Like, you know,
Honestly, like most of we military pilots, I mean, you start off, as a second lieutenant, and you're gonna fly, fight, and win. Then you're just gonna ride out to the sunset once your career is over. Like airlines.
who's gonna do
I don't
that,
do
right?
airline stuff. Reading the newspaper and drinking coffee. I don't want to do that stuff. But then, as time presses on, you're like,
Think I'm gonna do it.
this kind of sounded real nice, But as I was looking to see what I was going to do with the rest of my life, when I grow up, as we like to say,
Uh
what
huh.
am I going to do when I grow up? and get out of the military. The airlines at the time weren't hiring because of COVID.
Hmm.
Um, I thought about flying cargo with, I was going to try and apply for UPS or FedEx, and I had a pretty good lead in towards FedEx. But honestly, when I made the decision to fly airlines, to say that I wanted to fly airlines, I wanted to fly passengers. And the reason why I wanted to fly passengers, quite honestly, um, the first time I mentioned my grandfather earlier, and he drove trucks. He lived in California. The first trip that I took to California solo, as in a little kid, I flew out unaccompanied. I was 7 years old, and I flew out on an airliner. It was another company. It wasn't United, yeah. But I flew out, and one of the things that I remember growing up, and even from that flight, is I never saw me, as in the captain or the first officer up front. An airline pilot always seemed to look a certain way, and I'll just leave it at that. But I never saw me, and so I also remember, and it's one of the reasons why I decided to do a lot of mentoring with kids and talking with kids, especially the kids where I come from. Um, I wanted them to see me up front because when I grew up, there was no avenue to fly airplanes. I passed Lakefront Airport almost every day going to school on the bus, and the airport never even registered. It just wasn't a thing, growing up where I grew up. It just wasn't a thing. So I never knew that was an avenue until high school and ROTC and the F-16, but never knew it was an avenue. And I think we'd all be surprised at how many kids don't even know aviation itself, whether it be pilot, flight attendant, mechanic, dispatcher, air traffic control. Those avenues are there. And it, I think most people will be surprised at how many kids don't even like it's not even a thing. It's
Yeah,
not even a thing. And so I wanted a version of me to see me where I am now,
yeah,
to
and
say, huh,
I might be able to do that because
yeah, I might
because
be able to do that.
as simple as it may seem, there's people like I didn't know I could do that.
Hmm.
And
Absolutely.
you peel back the onion on that, and we know that goes deep when
It
someone's
very
like, I
deep.
didn't know I could do that.
Hmm. Very
And
deep.
you being there, I tell people, you go on the airplane, look to the left. If you see me there, if I'm here, you could be here.
Hmm.
You know.
And it takes a lot of skill. It takes a lot of knowledge. It takes a lot of discipline.
Hmm.
It takes a lot to get to that point. And whether you're on a charter, whether you're on a regional, or whether you're on legacy or major airlines, I mean, for the guys the guys and gals, because I'm not excluding gals at all, but for the pilots that make it to that level, we've put in a lot of work. And what I'd like kids to know and kids to see that, you know, yes, it is achievable. It takes a lot of work to get there, but it's achievable. But via that work, you gain so many other skills, just self-discipline, self-confidence, self-character, just to get to there and to, like you say, to look left, whether it's the first officer seat or the captain seat for me and for you now. Congrats, by the way.
Thank you,
To
thank you.
get to that seat, it takes a lot, but I think it's important that a version of me sees me. And that's one of the reasons that I went towards the airlines, quite honestly.
That's what's up, man. That's great, Chris. That's good, man. That right there was right there. What I was looking for. You gave me
That's
right
the
there
thing.
what I was looking for. So, man, I appreciate you coming on here and us sharing your story and everything. You got anything you want to add before we go? Or
Besides the dog barking and the missus getting home,
well,
let's see
I guess that was good timer, right?
right. Here's what I'll add. When I used to do a lot more talking with kids, I'd give this little mantra. Dreams to goals, goals to achievements. Starts off with a dream of doing something. Turn that dream into a goal, and then achieve that goal. Once you've done that, start again with something else. Dreams to goals, goals to achievements, repeat. Stay focused. Know that you can, because you can. And just go for it. Especially when it comes to flying. Come on up there, join me, sit in that seat. I'm not giving up my seat for anybody else, but you can sit next to me.
You can sit
We can go
next to
fly
me. Right.
together. Because I'm ready to get
Yeah, man. Oh man.
flying.
This was great, man. Well, till next time, and I'll see you soon. I don't know, you coming out to San Antonio March 28th?
I don't know. Put me
Okay.
on the
We have an
spot.
we have an event. Well, I mean, we're probably gonna cut this part out because it doesn't. This might air after the March 28th. So who knows?
Nice. Nice.
I more just asked you this because I got you on the. Well, I got you now, but we're gonna be doing an event here on the 20th. So if you can make it, cool. If not, I'll see you next time,
Captain.
Captain. All right, out.
Right.